Do you feel it? Do you feel it? Beautiful. Welcome to Unity of Bellingham. I'm just touched at this moment by everything that we bring to this place every Sunday. The sum total of our lives and who we are, we bring here to share it together, to reflect together, to grow in faith and love. Thank you for being here. And welcome. My name is Dyann Castro-Wehr, and I'm the platform assistant today. And Frank, our minister, Reverend Frank, will be giving the talk today, which is titled Mystical Greening, Veriditas Conspiring. Ooh, we'll see, or conspiracy. Okay. And our music ministry today, we're so happy to share, is with Heart and Soul and Kathy Murray accompanying. As we prepare for our time of reflection and meditation, let's recall the names of anyone who might be in need of prayer right now, and I invite you to speak their names out loud. We affirm the presence of the good, the divine spirit at work in the lives of all. I'm going to be reading a short reading from the Daily Word. And the affirmation for this reading is, I am grateful for this sacred, beautiful world. Please join me in saying that. I am grateful for this sacred, beautiful world. It can be easy to take the wonders of the world, its creatures, and my fellow divine beings for granted. But when I realize the holy nature of life, the entire world becomes sacred to me. My attitude is the key. When life feels dull and colorless, I turn within to discover my awe and reverence anew. I return my attention to the world, and I can see it as a beautiful, holy place. Just as I can touch the presence of Spirit easily in a church or other site, or in a natural place, such as in a cathedral of tall trees, I can find the divine presence anywhere I go. With my heart soft and open, I treat the world as a sacred place. I see my fellow divine beings and all the world's creatures as holy, and the diversity of life as deserving of reverence. I am grateful for this sacred, beautiful world. So as we prepare to go into just a few moments of quiet reflection, I invite you to imagine a beautiful, sacred place that you've been to or experienced. See if you can recall that place in your mind's eye. I invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable, or just drop them to a soft gaze if you prefer. Allow your senses to come into play. What does this place sound like? Can you see the beautiful detail there? Are there noises that take you back? Or maybe a scent that brings the memory right back into mind's eye? Maybe this place is in your backyard or on your front porch, or a place you visit regularly, or a destiny vacation or special spot you visited. I invite you to return there and spend a few moments to allow the spirit of that place to renew and fill you in the quiet. In the quiet. this sacred space is available for you at any time, at any place. And for our sacred, beautiful world, we are grateful.
This is my song for people of all nations, a song of peace for lands afar and mine. The world's my home, the earth is where my heart beats. Here are my hopes for peace the world can find. Yes, other hearts in other lands are beating with hopes and dreams as true and high as mine. My country's skies are bluer than the oceans, and sunlight beams on clover leaf and pine. But other lands have sunlight too, and clover, and skies are everywhere as blue as mine. Oh, hear my song, oh people of all nations, a song of peace for your land and for mine. This is my prayer, O Spirit of creation, a prayer of hope for all humanity. Let hearts be lifted up till all are singing, as love unites, we learn how to be free. Oh, hear my prayer, Spirit of all creation. May all hearts see just what this world can be.
A synonym of the word harmony is love. They're synonymous. Did you feel the love? Wow. Woo. 8 years ago, 2016, my daughter was in school at Oberlin. It's up by Cleveland. So we went to visit her, and it was 8 years ago this weekend. It was the weekend before the election. And we went up and we went, and Joy was in there was no Unity in Oberlin, little town in Ohio. But we had a rental car, so we drove a little over an hour up into Cleveland. And we went to Unity of Lakewood. And we went in, and it was and the minister there, this Unity minister, I don't remember her name. I wish I could. She talked about the fact that it was the weekend before the election. And I don't remember exactly what she said. But I remember two things. The first thing was, and I'm struggling with the words for this. I wasn't in ministry school. I'd been taking some what we call spiritual enrichment classes, education enrichment, like some others of us here are doing, taking the SE classes. And I had the idea of going to ministerial school strongly in my mind. And I saw her, this Unity minister, and it wasn't like I said, I want to be like you. And it wasn't like I said, oh, what you're doing is so inspiring me, and I want to do the same thing. It was the fact that I looked at this Unity minister, and somehow 8 years feels like it doesn't make a difference. I said, you're doing me. And I knew, I said, you're doing me. Whatever else I'm doing, that's it. That's it. So this morning I realized I'm standing here 8 years to the weekend later, ordained Unity minister, and going, wow. So when we see things in life, and it doesn't matter where we're at in life, and we see things, and we're touched, and we go, wait, it's not that good for you, you're doing your thing, oh, that's really good, or that. And every now and then, we see something, and we go, that's me. Hold on. It's coming at you. And I remember that at the time, I don't remember exactly what you said. This is part 2. But I remember walking out of that service going, we're good. Wherever anybody was for the 2016 election, and there was a lot of energy in the United States, probably in the world, I walked out of there going, we're good. I'm good. We're good. We're good. There's last week we started a concept, and I've talked about this many times. It's very sort of fundamental Unity teaching that there's like ladder of consciousness that we climb. We're invited to ascend this ladder of consciousness. And one of the kind of a way that in Unity literature talked about is that there's victimhood. And we want to get out of that really quick. Yeah, that's a state of consciousness that's going to leave us just frustrated and upset and angry and not in our best self. And we get out of that, and it's always a transcend, but you include. You transcend, but you include. It's not like you transcend and go, oh, I don't do that anymore. No, it's just a bigger inclusion. And so we move out of victimhood, and we move to a level, we're invited to a level of consciousness, which we call victor. Because who would rather win than lose, Because in victimhood, we're thinking, I'm lost. This could be an internal understanding, or it can be a feeling of the external world that we've lost. And then victor, we're like, oh, this is much better. I won. But realize these are two sides of the coin. And we can play that game, victim, victor, victim, victor, victim, all our life. And it does feel better. And there is something about rising in consciousness to a level of overcome that victimhood. And we encourage that. And we use it through basic tools. We talked about even affirmations and denials. These are ways of stepping out of the victim consciousness into a victor consciousness. But what I want to talk about today is the next stage, which we call vessel. And the fourth stage, verity, which means the truth, the absolute truth. And we ascend along these levels, and I invite us into a discussion today. We're just going to focus on one. It's this next level, which we call verity, which means it's vessel, which means I allow the divine energy to work through me. I am a vessel of that good. I'm a vessel of that good. And another way that we've talked about this is there's this sense of being invited to the consciousness of what we call the mystic. So today I want to talk about this thing called mystic consciousness. And in this level of the mystic, it's interesting because we get out of, we're stepping out of victim-victor, and we're saying, it's very simple. I am the one through whom I allow the divine to work through me, as me, showing up so that my role is not to stand in the energy of win, lose, this dialect, this dualism, right? It's like, and it's not that we don't know that we live in a world where there's choices. Of course, there's choices. Yeah, there always is. But along with it, we transcend that. We include it, but we transcend it. And so in that place of this world, I am going to show up and be the vessel of the divine for myself, for others, and for the world. And that's the level of consciousness as the mystic I'll show up to. So we always say, well, that person was a mystic. So, by the way, we sometimes think the definition of mystic is someone who has mystical experiences, someone who's had some kind of breakthrough, some kind of vision, hears sounds, or sees visions, or does some kind of out-of-body experience, or speaks in tongues, all these different kind of things. Paul says in one of his letters, he's really clear. It's like, yeah, all that stuff's good, that's good. There's only one thing about the mystic that really counts. Do we choose to love? Do we choose to love? Those other things maybe happen, and those are kind of cool, and everybody wants to have a vision, right? But that's grace. And if that happens, fine, good. Share those. I'd love to hear about your out-of-body mystical experiences. But the important thing is not whether or not you've had these mystical experiences. To be a mystic is a choice, and it's a choice to love, and it's a choice to show up and be the vessel of the divine. It's a choice. There was this is in the 11th century, someone who I've really loved. Her name is Hildegard. And she was in this town called Bingen, and it was in part of what's now Germany. And she was very sickly through her life. It's kind of interesting. I think people who look back, I'm like, well, I'm trying to understand what was happening in the Middle Ages, and she had migraines, is what they think. She suffered terribly from migraines. And finally, in her 40s, she had a spiritual director who said, well, one of the things you could do is you keep saying that you're having these migraines and you're going crazy because you have all these visions. Write them down. Right? Just write them down. Start teaching. Start building. Start drawing. Start writing. And then she had this burst. She lived into her 80s. This isn't 1100. She lived to her 80s. People lived to like 30s. One of her mystics, you got your program? Look on the front cover. That is a drawing of Hildegard. One of her mystical visions, which she called, and it has to do with the greening. So this beautiful mandala. And it has to do with the greening. And she said the way she looked at the world was like this. There is a greening energy, she called it. It's wet, it's fecund, it's always life, it's just abundant, it's just coming at you, it's greening, it's life-giving. She took a word in Latin, Veriditas, which means green, and she took a word veritas, which means truth. And she put them together and she said, God is Veriditas. She made that up. Veriditas, the greening truth, the life-giving truth. And it's coming at you faster than you can believe. And all we have to do is open up and be the vessel of this Veriditas, of this greening energy, of this burst of energy. We go through life like, it's raining. Can't have that. I'll stand here and be a victim or a victor. Because who wants Veriditas? Who wants to be but it's asking us to put it down and go, let me have it. The rain, the beauty, the fullness. I'll stand in a storm. Let the energy, the sun, the light, the bounty of the universe, let it come and let it flow through me. Put the umbrella down. Let it burst forward in greening energy. And we're all called to be that greening, that open vessel through which all that, it's like drinking through a fire hose. And just let yourself be it to others. You go, that sounds good, does it? We block it all the time. I mean, why be the greening energy of love to other people when we can be mad at them and be in, well, I win and you lose instead? Because it's fun to win. It's fun to be right. But that's not what a mystic does. That's not the energy of a mystic. The mystic is the energy of the Veriditas, and taking it in and being the greening for others. Good meditation, by the way. Being in that beautiful place. It's that beautiful place, that feeling where that we're in that energy that comes in from some place, from some moment, from some time, and it bursts through us in this greening energy. There's a word that comes along with this. This is a great word. It's been a little co-opted in the 20th century, unfortunately. But it comes from another Latin word. It's called conspire. And the first part is con, which means Latin with. And spire comes from spire, I forget the exact Latin word, and it means to breathe. To conspire, we're conspiring right now. Why? We're breathing with each other. And we're conspiring with all nature. We know how it works, the oxygen cycle and the carbon dioxide cycle. In the 20th century, it's sort of been co-opted a little bit like we're whispering, pss, 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 and we're making a conspiracy theory. But the word for most of the time meant we're breathing together. And the idea of the inspiration, it comes from not only the word breath, but breath is synonymous with spirit. It's a spiritual conspiracy. It's being conspired. It's breathing with spirit. It's not only breathing with spirit, it's breathing spirit. You see the play on words? We're spirit breathing. Conspiring, we're spirit breathing. We're breathing with all of nature. We're breathing with breathing in ourselves. We're breathing in spirit. This veriditas, this mystical energy means we're just breathing spirit. We're breathing it, it's working through it. We can't escape it. If we open our consciousness to the fact that it's the truth of our existence, mystical being, it's not even a challenge, the invitation to be a mystic in life is easy as just recognizing the truth of our conspiring with nature, with the world, with each other, with the divine itself. This conspiring energy. Yeah. Okay, mystics. You're all mystics, you know. Oh, lots of eye rolling. Okay. No, we can do this. we can be mystics. Yeah, I don't know. We're being called to be mystics. It's what we're saying today. We're going to breathe with. We're going to, and maybe because of that, we have mystical visions. Maybe we breathe with spirit and we look up and we see somebody and go, that's me. And then we're there. Maybe we have visions of what's next. And the visions are all about visions of service. Let me tell you a story. This comes from Matthew. It's chapter 13. It's a great parable. And it's called the parable of the sower. But here's the funny thing, these names of parables. The people who wrote these things, they didn't name these stories. The translators much later gave them names. So we can call them whatever we want. And I'm going to call this the parable of the mystic becoming. The parable of the mystic becoming. And it goes like this. Jesus went out of his house. And he went down and he sat by the lake. But a large crowd came out and gathered around him. So they stood on shore. He went out on a boat in the lake and he sat down and he taught them in a parable. He said, there's a sower who went out to sow in the field. And some of the seed fell on a path. And the birds came and just ate it up. And other seed fell into some rocky soil. And it took root at first, but then the sun came out and wilted all the plants. And yet other seed fell into the thorns. And the thorn bushes came up and choked off those plants and they couldn't grow. But other seed fell on good soil, produced 100-fold. If you have ears, listen. That's the parable. I'll break it down for you just a moment. Just consider this. What I love about this, here's a question for you. It's like, here's the realm of God. Here's what it's like, right? A sower went out and sowed seeds. Who's the sower? Who do you think? What do you think? We are. Great answer. By the way, there's no right answer. Who's the sower? What do you think? We are. What else is the sower? Who else is the sower? Come. What? The farmer. Who's the farmer? God. So God's a sower, God's a farmer. Good, yeah. What else? What's the other possibility? The earth. Spirit. Life itself. The nature of the universe, the nature of life, the nature of a God-inspired life, the nature of beingness in this universe is we live in a universe that's sowing us. Sowing is the nature of the universe. It is the nature of a God-inspired universe. Therefore, since we're part of the universe, it's also the nature of us. It's also the nature of the all, because everything is spiritual. I love that. I love these parables. 6 lines, and it's just packed. A sower. Let's go with this. The very universe that we walk in and breathe in, because we're breathing this universe, because we're breathing together, which means we're conspiring with the universe. We're conspiring with the universe. The universe is conspiring with us. What? To sow the seed for transformation. It is the nature of being alive on planet Earth that the seeds of our transformation are already there and available to us. So what do we do with them? Well, parts of us get that seed and we're like the path. We're like, The seed falls on the path and there's nothing there. So birds come, the birds swoop down and just eat it up. And what's those birds? I love birds. Birds are like, here's birds in my mind. Well, I could do this, so maybe I'll do this, so maybe I'll go here. Maybe I'll flip. And now I'll do this. Let me distract myself ad nauseum and have my little birds chirping away and distracting me forever. And I don't have to listen to that seed. Anybody have birds in their brain? Yeah. It's not just me, right? The bird brain. We're all bird brain sometimes. Chatter. And some falls on soil, and the roots go really quick. Oh, I'm inspired. Yeah, that's it. And I'm going to get right on that. I went to Sunday. I heard a talk. I went on retreat. I heard a podcast. I heard a song. I am inspired. But I'm busy. And then the sun comes out, and it gets tense, and that one gets burned up. Oh, how many good podcasts I've listened to that have burned up in the heat of the next day, and I've just gone on with my life. Am I the only one? No. And then some seed falls into thorn bushes. And I don't know, you can imagine. These are all just metaphors. You can pick what it means to you. That's the beauty of parables. But for me, when I hear the thorn bushes, it's like, no, you can't. That'll never work. Oh, that's a good spiritual thing, but let's get real. I live in the real world. And what's real? What's the realest real? We think the world here, the expression world, is real with a little r. But it's the manifest idea. It's the mind, the soul, the heart, that very energy, intelligence of the divine that outpictures into the ideals of who we are and who we're called to be, which is even more real than the expression of it. But we think the expression is the real. The expressions change. The expressions they fluctuate. But the truth, the divine idea that comes from the mind of God is the ultimate reality, the capital R reality. That's the truth. And yet we let the thorns of our apparent real, small r, and this life expression cut us off. So we want to get to the real. And here's the beauty. And this is one of the things about parables over and over and over. So what does the sower do? And what does Jesus tell this parable tell us to do? Did he say, okay, so wherever that hard soil is, you need to go out with a shovel and break it up and make it soft soil? No. Wherever that grainy soil is with the birds, you should go out and chase the birds away. Put up a scarecrow. Get rid of them. You can't have birds and eating the soil. Do we do a lot of work to get the birds out of there and to make the soil better? No, don't need to. Isn't this wild? I read these stories and go, yeah, but I want to fix it. Stop trying to fix it. We don't need to be spending enormous amount of time fixing the minutia. And some of the seed falls in the thorns. Well, that's easy. You get a weed whacker. You get rid of those thorns, metaphorically. Get rid of all those thorns in my life, all that stuff, all that mind energy. It says, oh, no. Don't spend that much time doing that. What does the sower do? Keeps going. Because the seed, for some reason, I don't know, the guy must have, the sower, he or she must have a bag this big. He's like, yeah, whatever, more seed, more. There's more. There's abundance. There's this abundance of spiritual, the spiritual seed, this place in our consciousness. This, it's all about, what's the ground? It's our consciousness. And it's just like put the umbrella down, just take in the abundance of potential, see the goodness of the universe. The universe is a sower, and it just can't throw enough at us. Here, there's more. It is an abundant, fecund universe. It's a greening energy. It's just, Mechthild sat up in her cloister, up in her monastery. I'm not Mechthild, Hildegard. And you look out, and I've seen pictures of her monastery in the Rhineland in Germany. As far as you can see, just green hills. And I'm sure she's like, look at that greening energy. If I lived in the desert in Venezuela, I'd tell the story different. But we live here. So you see, it's just as far as you can see, the greening energy. There's no end to it. It is so available. We need to stop beating ourselves up for any little glitch in our system that I wasn't very good at that. Yeah, well, move on. There's so much more. There's things to do. We don't have time to sit here and feel sorry for ourselves. Back into victim. Leave that alone. And let's move on, and let's not even the victor. Let's move on. The mystic consciousness says, I am staying focused. I am a vessel for the divine. I won't be distracted with the thorns and the birds and the crazy thoughts. I want to be this vessel. At the end, in one gospel, it says, and it produced 100-fold. Another one says it produced 160, 30. Another one says 30. The point is, yeah, maybe it's 30-fold this time. Then it's 60-fold. Then it's 1,000-fold. Then it's 1,000-fold. But we need to just stay open and allow, drink to that fire hose of abundance, of the seed of potentiality that comes into our consciousness of this goodness of the universe. The universe is conspiring to do this. It wants to do this. It's alive and ready to give us all that's possible for our good. And we don't have to get sidestepped into the win-lose mentality that's coming at us next week. We can step beyond it and say, yeah, no matter what happens, how am I to serve? What's mine to do to serve? And it doesn't matter what happens next Tuesday. The question still remains, what is mine to do? How do I show up to be this open conduit of the divine and be attuned for what's mine and what's ours to do, and to be ready to do that, irregardless of what happens next week? It doesn't change. The mystic shows up to serve. The mystic shows up to give. The mystic knows in giving we receive. The victim goes, I don't have enough to give. The victor goes, I'll make it mental. Here's a great thing. This is what we do sometimes in the mental sphere. This is good. We do this in unity. I'm doing positive thinking. And positive thinking, and good. I want that car. I'm going to draw 100 times on the board. I'm going to have this car. I'm going to be positive. And it does work. It does work. It works on the mental level. Staying out of victim, and any good psychologist for a football team says, you got to get out of your losing mentality. Okay, I went to Cal, so I have to deal with this a lot. When a 5-8 season's good. It's like you need to have this positive attitude and get out of that emotional state and be, but that's a mental exercise. That's on the level of victim-victor, right? The mystic doesn't want to do positive thinking, wants to do mystical thinking. And the mystical thinking goes like this. Instead of saying, here's what I want, says, God, what would you have me do? It's very different. And I'm not knocking positive thinking, that's fine. But the mystic says, maybe I don't really know what's best. God, what would you have me do? I'll be a channel of peace. And what would you have me do? Yeah. So we switch from positive thinking to mystical thinking. And then we look at our emotions as well. And sometimes I think there should be two words for emotions, like emotions immediate, like emotions small I, and emotions long term, emotions small l. I'm a math major or something. Because if something happens that scares you, go, oh, you frighten me. Well, of course, being scared is normal. No one's knocking that. Which is different than saying I live in the sphere of always being afraid. Very different. And instead of being called out to joy and called out to courage and called out to a higher level of standing in the truth of the fullness of who I am and emotion. So yeah, right now, I feel like a little tense about money is very different than going, I'm living in this emotional state of where I know the Veriditas, the greening, the abundance of the universe that is working for me, through me, as me, the abundance of the divine that is working through and as me. I'm going to stick in that emotional attitude of being just fully generous, fully abundant. Not because I got it, because I'm a vessel of God. I'm a vessel of the divine. That's the mystic way of thinking. And it gets beyond it into a fuller measure. There's a kind of a cool little piece that it's in this is in Philippians. And it says, so what do I do? How does the mystic show up? How does the mystic show up? How do I adjust my thinking away from victim or away from these other ways? What is it? And it says, finally, beloved, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is pleasing, whatever is commendable. If there's any excellence, and if there's anything worthy of praise, think about those things. I spend a lot of my day thinking about other things than that. Man, how do we, just trust that we can actually change our thoughts and feelings? We talk about this. Dyann read this. What are our principles? My life is determined by how I'm choosing to think and feel and believe. What am I holding on to? Victim, victor? Or am I holding on to, I can show up with the mystical energy to think and say and be things that are commendable and praiseworthy and uplifting and generous and compassionate and just and fair and encouraging. That's the mystic way of doing it. So I'm going to end on a very simple quote, which interestingly was a little bit of kind of what just really works for me. I hope it works for you. It's so hopeful in my mind. And it comes from Ralph Waldo Emerson, actually. And he said, once you've decided what? Once we've decided that we're going to be mystic, that we're going to be a vessel of the divine, that we can be a channel of God's peace. And not that we're ignorant or ignore the fact that there's a world of, things happening and win and lose and tension. We don't leave that. We just transcend it. We include it. We know it's there. It's not like we're going, of course it's there. We need to serve in the expressed world. We need to show up for that. But once I've decided how I am going to be, and if I decide I'm going to show up as mystic energy, the whole universe conspires with me to make that happen. The whole universe, the ultimate sower of abundant opportunity, of abundant thinking, of abundant possibilities, of abundant change, of abundant love, of abundant gratitude, of abundant generosity, of abundant compassion, of abundant justice, of abundant giving, of abundant transformation of our life. The whole universe, it conspires with us. It conspires with us to direct our path, to make that happen. So let's decide. Unity of Bellingham, the unity of mystics. Yeah, really. It's a choice. It's a choice. Can we choose that? And we can choose to live in that mystical energy, to be the vessels of love. And we know, here's where you leave today going, we're okay. We're okay. The whole universe is conspiring with us to make that happen. Okay? We're good. We're good. Yeah. Okay. Amen.